Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Season 9, over and out.
Hello, mate. That's quite final.
I mean, we've reached the end again, buddy. There's not a lot of other ways I could put it.
Well, you are correct, Sam, but we haven't actually finished this highlights episode just yet, have we? Should we just do that first, maybe?
Yeah, okay. I agree. How about this? Season 9, nearly over and out.
That is better. Now, let's get stuck in. I love these best of episodes, and it's just us this week, so I can't wait to watch back all the times you were mean to me about my age, my height, my hair.
Hang on now. I was nice to you too, and I enjoyed some of your Mickey taking as well. So let's have a look and see just which clips made it in.
Yep, let's do that. Drewling Samantics followers, fans, listeners, and watchers, here is Season 9, Best of Us.
Hello, bonjour, ni hao, hi, hola, guten tag, konnichiwa, salam, hey, and all those other nice welcomey hello things. And Drew's looking at me like, what the fuck have you just done?
You've done research, you bugger. I was just going to say guten morgen, guten abend, bonjour, whatever. You trumped me, trounced me. I've been reading little bits and pieces in the news and catching up with a bit of news.
Of course.
And it's audience's behaviour has featured in a couple of news stories, and I don't know whether it's the heat of the summer or people are just bored or whatever. But apparently, actually happened. 4 audience members were, and this story got me thinking. Okay. 4 audience members were, I don't know, asked to leave, escorted out, thrown out of a performance. Sorry? Ejected. Ejected. That's a very nice way of putting it. They were ejected from a performance of Grease. What happened? Why the altercation took place? I don't know. But an altercation took place during the interval, which then stretched into what would have been the second act of the show, delayed the act. 8 policemen were called. Yeah, I know. 8 policemen and members of the theatre staff, obviously front of house staff, and they were thrown out. They were ejected. 2 cries of out,
Conor
out.
McGregor and friends or something, was it? And just for the record, other MMA competitors
are available.
Yeah, exactly. No offense to Conor, I think he's great. But yeah.
But yeah, and you wouldn't argue with him. But I mean, they were ejected, escorted, thrown out. Wherever the audience members are out. They all wanted to, the performance to continue, and why wouldn't you? But it just struck me that there is a little bit of audience behaviour and people not kicking off, but acting in an either, depending on your standpoint, rude or unexpected. Theatre etiquette gone out the window. If anybody ever knew about theatre etiquette or whatever, I don't know. I mean, there was something else disrupted at some other time. I can't remember.
There was. It was
another musical.
Bodyguard. It was Bodyguard, wasn't it? There were the performers refused to continue, or the show was stopped because people would not stop singing along. Which it's such a dividing idea, isn't it? Now we've all been to shows where the music is so familiar or we love it so much that we do want to sort of sing along. 99% of us have enough self-control to go, no, I've paid to be here. I've paid to see the people who are really good at this do it. I might enjoy it, but it's not my job. I mean, obviously it is our job, but I'm the royal we. It is not our job. So we should allow the professionals to do so, rather than sort of joining in and going, well, I think all the other people in this auditorium will want to hear me as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's interesting because it's like you say, people know it really well and they want to join in, which is a tribute to great music, great fun. Well, not always great music, but good shows, popular shows. And it's that like the wall comes down. I mean, if you're sitting in the Globe or the RSC or the National and someone's doing To Be or Not to Be, if you know it or not, you're not going to join in, are you? Because there's a kind of, well,
yeah,
there's a feeling of, that the fourth wall is up, as and we are watching, we are participating by watching and emotionally investing rather than vocally investing. We've spoken about a couple of people before, alternate careers, but I have got a fascinating list of what people did before they became.
Have you really? What, fascinate away, Drew?
Well, obviously, we spoke, but there are a couple on here. What have we got? Okay, I've got a list. I'm going to turn my page. Look, I've got paper.
Oh,
if you're listening to me, I'm rustling the paper. There we go.
Paper. That's for anyone under the age of 30. That's what you used to use before iPads.
Yeah, yeah. I've moved on from a slate and chalk piece of chalk, mate.
Yeah. Engravings you used to do on the wall of your cave.
That's the one. Gone, yeah. Because we've killed all the bison now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, we know about Harrison Ford, who was.
Yes, we talked about Harrison Ford, who was a carpenter, wasn't he? I think you said we talked about things we do. I think that was right back in our first season, mate. And we may well have referenced Harrison Ford then, because famously was he doing carpentry on a set and that's how he got picked up or something? There's some connection there.
I think he built someone's house as well, and he put a roof on someone's house or something, and it was a set or something. Yeah, and it was that took him into the business.
Yeah, apologies, I interrupted, but
no, not at all, mate. No. And we spoke a little while ago about Glenda Jackson, who was wonderful actor, beautiful actor, Oscar winner, became successful, strident, powerful, wrong word, campaigning Labour politician, and then went back to being a genius actor. I mean, it's like, how dare you be so bloody talented?
Yeah.
But no, brilliant. But I mean, there's like, did you know that before being the actor that we know and love, Danny DeVito was a hairdresser?
No,
he was a hairdresser, and he actually worked in his sister's salon, and he loved it because he said, here I am, this little fella working in a hairdresser surrounded by this bevy of beauties. He said, and this is not meant to be but take it as it was said, he said, and I'm the only straight guy here. He said, who could want for anything better than that? And then went off and made Taxi and became enormously successful. But so he was a hairdresser.
If you'd said to me, name an actor who used to be a hairdresser, he would have been quite far down the list.
Yeah, but there you go. Hugh Jackman was a PE teacher.
That I can sort of see a bit more, because he's a very fit guy, and he's very sort of physical in his performances and stuff, and
but he was a PE teacher in Uppingham School in Rutland. So a big shout out to Uppingham School in Rutland for letting us have Hugh Jackman as the wonderful performer he is. Thank you.
Exactly that,
I love this one. This one really made Whoopi Goldberg was a beautician, but Whoopi Goldberg specialized as a morgue beautician. Yeah.
Okay.
So she would go into. I mean, and it's a very. I mean, I actually know some. I met a guy, a musician once, who did the same thing, but she went into and she would do the makeup and the hair of people, because they have a lot of open caskets in America, and that style of funeral. So she would do the makeup and hair of the deceased.
Life did have to continue, and sometimes you do want shows to go ahead. Sometimes they literally cannot go ahead, and there are lots of things you can and do plan for to an extent. I mean, the Christmas just gone. I think I don't know if I've mentioned on the show, but I experienced the coldest temperature I'd ever experienced in my life. So I'd gone home in between a couple of panto shows. I think we had a day or two off, so I'd gone home, and as I was driving back to the theatre, it was -12. And I'd never seen that before. I've not been abroad a great deal, and certainly not to cold places. So I'd never seen. And I know for some people -12, but in Canada they're like, "Cool, it's summer. Get your t-shirt on."
Oh, it's 12. Get your t-shirt on. Yeah.
But we'd had the discussions and said, look, yes, at the end of the day, it's just cold weather, but there's snowfall, there's ice everywhere. If people don't feel safe traveling and we don't have an audience, do we go ahead? And these are things where you kind of go, we're aware it's going to happen, but it is out of our control. And I guess we're in an industry where it's a bit more difficult to work around those things. Like if and not belittling or saying that we're better or whatever, but if you work in an office or if you work in a supermarket, if you can't go anywhere, you don't go there.
No.
Shop opens, the shop shuts. There's kind of that. Yes, the high-end like food will go out of date, so there's loss there, or people might not be able to get food. But it's slightly incomparable, isn't it, to kind of going, right, well, we're now stuck because we can't just reopen the next day. There's more going on than that. It's a more convoluted situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other benefit as well is, I mean, when I did Fighting Irish a year or so ago now, and we all had one main character, and then there were other characters, and there were scenes where we all changed characters, so we were all a different set of people, and then that would go back, and then those worlds would collide. So that it was amazing because you'd almost establish your main characters and they were running through, and then there would be a scene where everyone is playing someone totally different.
Yeah.
So the audience have got to learn another set of characters, and then you go back to your main character, and then they would be shuffled, and then they're mixed up, and we know that was the main thing. We had to go. This is the clarity. We've all got to know how we would behave with those characters, and now we've got to know how we behave with these characters, and how these characters are all gonna, So there wasn't only the playing of the characters and creating very crystal clear, but also the relationships. And
absolutely.
So you were, in a way, you always had four ideas in your head because you're going, I'm that character relating to these people, I'm that character relating to these people, and now I've got to cross over now. So it was an interesting process, and I think that is the challenge. But it's also challenging for audiences. But it does mean that if you've got those multiple roles, you've got multiple characters that just flesh out a play. And I mean, sometimes a play or a piece will demand that you've got to have loads of characters. You've got to keep they've all got to be there. You talked about fights. I mean, I was doing panto, and two women. This was a matinee of Jack and the Beanstalk. I was playing Dame. I'm on stage as Dame, trying to be funny to an audience of 300 children.
I reckon you're probably succeeding, mate. Not just trying.
Well, I was having a good go, but I was interrupted from my train of thought and comedy by two women who, and they had a fist fight in the middle of the stalls. I don't know what kicked off. Apparently, we heard afterwards, one woman had turned round and ridiculously, I think, in a panto, tried to shush some children up. I mean, that's kind of, well, that ain't going to happen anyway, and that ain't going to happen in a panto. But obviously, the mother of said children took umbrage, stood up, and they had a fist fight.
Wow.
Also, the other part of it was, and I don't know to what degree a dignitary she was, but one of the women was actually a local dignitary, councillor, MP, or something. Yeah, I don't know. But and the bless their hearts, the front of house staff. This is in Luton, the Library Theatre, as was. Yeah, they try to split them up, and they're volunteers, and they are, shall we say, ladies and gentlemen of a certain age, and then trying to split these two women up. And I mean, people are shouting at me, go on, Widow Twanky, you sort them out. And I'm going, no, I ain't going down there because I'm born and bred and live in Luton, and I know not to split two women up fighting. It ain't going to happen.
Jesus.
There was one story, and I'm not going to go into too many details because of the subject matter, but as one performer and they are in Edinburgh at the moment. And I think it's a hint of how a demonstration of how desperate money is for performers, how passionate performers are, and how important performing is to people. Is that there's a performer up there doing a show, and they have self-funded, and some of that money has come via, and this will open up, I'm sure, floodgates of opinion. But some of that money has come through sex work. Now,
wow,
I know, and my mind immediately goes, "Wow, that's a desperate thing to do," or that's they're desperate is. But I think as performers, sometimes we are desperate to perform, and we shouldn't be surprised. I don't think we should be surprised because there are very many. You can crowdfund. There are all sorts of online ways of getting money to perform. And I'm not saying it's a great idea, and I don't approve or disapprove. It doesn't matter. So I'm not going to come down either way. But I can understand how someone with a project, with a passion to put on a show would go, hang on a minute, I think I know how to make some money. If I'm going to say anything, I think it's extraordinarily brave. I think whether they've come out with that story as a means of publicity, I don't know. The story it's out there. I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to give publicity to that, because my point of this is money is difficult to get hold of, and a performer has been pushed quite far to raise money. Rightly or wrongly, I don't know. I have my own opinion. But whatever, I think whatever happens, it's enormously brave, and I can only hope for that creative, that performer, that it pays off, because it would be I think if to put yourself in that extreme position and then it not work, I hope it's a good product. I hope they have a great time, and I hope whatever happens, it's worth that. I'm going to say it's sacrifice. Wasn't there a collapse in a West End theatre a few years back?
It was. So interestingly, and unfortunately, there were a good few days, if not weeks, in between. But I do theatre reviews. Well, you've been to a couple with me.
Yeah.
I was reviewing Death of a Salesman, and I'm trying to remember where it was. Was it the? I cannot for the life of me remember which theatre it was off the top of my head. But it was. I was reviewing it, I think, around 2019. I think the run was, and I think either a couple of weeks before or a couple of weeks after, part of the ceiling had collapsed. Now, fortunately, people were fine. I think there were a couple of minor injuries, but there were no sort of serious injuries sustained. But yeah, part of the ceiling collapsed, and yeah, it's. I mean, I guess that could have been weather related. I don't know the full story. Sorry, this is a very sort of put together bit, but what I do know is it happened, I think 5 or 6 years before that, at the Apollo. Was that? I want to say that was Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time.
Yes, it was, because I had Verona had an acquaintance in that. We had an acquaintance in the show, and thankfully they were okay. But yes, that was Curious Incident. Yeah, so you're right. There have been
in the last decade or so, there have been a couple of sort of incidents or occurrences where theatres have had to stop mid-performance, or shows have had to be pulled because of damage to the buildings. But I guess it's interesting, isn't it? Because we mentioned a couple of weeks back about badly behaved audience members. Fortunately, are very rare situations, but there has been the odd time where a show has had to be stopped because in mid-show because of bad behaviour or fighting, or people not doing what they should be as audience members. Those are obviously instantaneous kind of things. You can't pre-plan for those. Those are just something you have to deal with.
Yeah.
The collapse of these ceilings sort of sits halfway in between, because you don't know it's going to happen, so it is an instantaneous reaction. Shit, we got to stop the show because blah blah blah. But equally, as we're seeing with what's going on now with some of the theatres closing, it possibly was preventable, depending on the quality of the building, the condition of the building. So it's sort of, I mean, again, if I had done my research, I didn't realise we were going to talk about it, so I haven't done the research.
Not right.
This is how it works. But yeah, this is live. Well, it's not live, but it was live for us. So that makes sense. So I don't know what caused the collapse, and if it had been like a crazy weather situation, then obviously it's not something you can plan for, other than making sure that buildings are built in case of extreme circumstance. But if it's similar to this whole concrete thing at the moment, perhaps they should have been checked more regularly to avoid these things.
I did a play called Ha Ha Hamlet, a comedy, Ha Ha Hamlet. It's in the title, and we did a night at I think it was a book society or in Radlett, a little an arts theatre in Radlett, and these people obviously came along to see not the Ha Ha part, but the Hamlet part, and we did a show to about 100 people who just, I think they weren't. Just didn't find it funny. They were offended by what we were doing.
Really?
Which the word offended, tough shit. I don't give a damn if you're offended, but you've obviously read this wrong. Well, you're offended. What can I do about it? Get over yourself. We've all got to get over. But I mean, it was they just got it wrong. And afterwards we chatted to a couple of people and they went, "Oh, we could see what you were doing, but we came to see Hamlet, and we didn't get it." And we're like, "What can we do?" And none of them asked for their money back because they said, "Oh, it was us. We made an assumption." I said, "You made an assumption. We made an assumption about our audience, and we dismissed." And I had 5 o'clock calls to the makeup truck. So I literally getting up at 4 a.m. and then getting I mean, it sounds very glamorous getting a car, but I mean, although I didn't the first day, I was staying not far, staying in a hotel because there were supposed to be tube strikes and it didn't happen and blah. So, but I was in a hotel and I walked to the set to the makeup
using
truck.
Your own feet.
I know. I mean, I was disgusted and disgraced, and it took me, but at least I did get a car home in the evening. So that's And
I'm going to bring it up, and you probably don't want to talk about it. We're going to make you talk about it anyway. Did you have to take a car somewhere else at some point during your filming period that you may have mentioned to me and didn't expect me to mention now?
Yes, because there are very strict laws around parking film crews and lorries and associated vans on residential streets, and quite rightly so, because we do start filming, film companies, because of the nature of the business, it all starts, as you are very well aware, starts very early in the morning.
Yeah.
And whilst I was in my little makeup vehicle, about 1.5 miles or so away from where we were filming in this lovely little house, lovely big house actually, and I'm called at 5 o'clock, so I left home at about 20 to 5, got there, and there I was having everything slapped on. And then I'm sort of thinking around about 8:30, 8:45, I might need to go to, do what
Call of nature.
I needed a pee, mate.
Yeah, right.
And also one of the makeup girls was going, "Yeah, we've been here 4.5 hours and I need to wee." And I was like, "Yeah, So, but there is nothing around because we had to be parked off the road. So they'd found a parking bay. They suspended the parking bay. And these are all the little ins and outs that go into filming that ordinarily people don't know about.
Well, exactly.
You've got to shut the street off, and then you've got to talk to all the neighbours because the house that we were filming in is used often. So they go around and they talk to the neighbours, and we say, and nothing ever starts before 8:30 in the morning, which is a residential time for noisy works.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway, my bladder was definitely starting moving before 8:30 in the morning, and I spoke to one of the actually the second AD. I was going, I might need. He went, "Oh yeah. There's nowhere around here, is there?" I went, "No," and there was nothing on the truck. And usually they hire a loo, which is known as a honey wagon.
Yes.
And it was like, there isn't one. So I had to have a car come and pick me up, take me to the location, which had several loos, and then drive me back to finish putting the makeup and costume on.
We've pulled you up on this before. We've talked about this before, about the glamour of being picked up. Yes, it's early starts. Yes, it's long days. Yes, it's hard work. But being picked up and chauffeured around is fairly swanky. But to have that just so you can go and urinate, I mean, it's pretty impressive, mate.
Could I just say though, in my defence, the alternative would have been worse.
It would have been less glamorous. I think that would be absolutely
far less glamorous. Yes.
I mean, where you would have made the puddle is fairly irrelevant at that point, because you would have been making a puddle, and there would have been circumstances. So
there would have been ramifications, mate. That's all I can say.
Indeed. Now, royalty is often associated with a throne, so clearly you had to have access to yours, didn't you, Your Majesty?
Indeed, O court jester, indeed.
Oi! I mean, I have to draw the line somewhere, and I'm not talking about the queue to the honey wagon.
Right, enough of that then, enough of that. I want another beverage. And as my loyal subjects aren't here to wait on me hand and foot, I suppose I'll have to do it myself.
Yeah, quick refuelling break it is then.
Right, I'm done. How about you?
Oh, good to go, matey. It's time for more of us.
Well, I'm here. Where is he? I'm
here. Look, I'm still here. I am still here. How you doing?
I'm very well, Mr. C.S. Lewis. Sorry, have I pushed it too far?
Do you know, I think at the risk of alienating people that can't see me, but I'm guessing people will have guessed what you're referencing there. But yeah, we may be approaching overdone now on the wardrobe gags.
Okay.
Right. So yes, I'm still in Narnia. Yes, I'm back in front of the wardrobe. I'm still in digs because I'm still on tour. But we'll gloss over that for future ones, because there's going to be a couple more probably from here. But for now, yes, I'm still here. I'm still on tour. And you are, well, where you're supposed to be, really.
Interestingly, this makes me laugh. I mean, this is me being silly, but it's like, they've closed all these theatres because there's a danger to the public. The National Theatre went, there's a few patches of this backstage, but we don't need to close that. It's like, hang on a minute, performers are backstage. Yeah, don't worry about the actors; they're just bloody happy to be there. Don't have to shut for them. Just is it above the audience? No, keep on going, you buggers. Get back here, keep the show on. Performers, you don't have to worry about them. Stephen King, when he was young, and I mentioned him because although a writer, his books have been turned into so many movies that he is so associated with the screen, with movies. But he was working in a laundromat. He was working in the laundry industry and writing at night. And every time the bills would come in, his wife would go, "Please think of a monster." Think of a monster. They needed the money. So So he was he worked in the laundry when he first started out. He was writing. Yeah, end of the month when the bills came in, think of a monster.
I mean, I was waiting, and then this is ridiculous. But when you started telling that one, I was just waiting for you to say he was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. But I think I think that may be more suitable for others. In fact, of all things, that's probably very, very common in the world of performance. We know many people and people we work with that do work in the catering industry, because it's one of the easier ones to work around things, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to get in and out of things like that,
Now, I want to slightly go off piece, but not so much congratulations. I want to say a thank you. And now, Drew, at this point, you may need to cover your ears. Now, for people familiar, they will know that sat before me, or not sat before me, but sat on my computer screen, is the TV's equivalent of Albert Einstein. Every time you see one of those bloody annoying adverts for buying a smart meter or whatever the hell it is, this big frizzy-haired scientist pops up, and it just so happens to be my good friend Mr. Fettis hiding behind some temporary plastic surgery.
Dead loads of makeup, mate.
Yeah, very, very talented makeup artist. Now, and this is why I said you may need to cover your ears, Drew, because I'm about to say a big thank you / congratulations / happy anniversary to possibly an arch rival of Albert Einstein. I'm going to talk about Mr. Thomas Edison.
Oh.
I don't know if they were rivals. I know they were both born in the 1800s, I believe. There was
something like that, yeah.
Either way, they're both
as geniuses in their own way.
Geniuses that brought them. But we need to say a thank you to Mr. Thomas Edison, because on this day, 126 years ago, that's back in 1897, Thomas Edison patented the kinetograph camera, or the kinetoscope, and that is a device which produced moving pictures. So essentially, a lot of what we do, the fact that we're able to do this right now, we owe to Mr. Thomas Edison for creating a moving picture camera. So yes, 126 years ago, thank you, Mr. Edison, for giving us this incredible gift of technology. For without it, we would not be here. And no offense to Einstein, because he was great as well, but today it's all about Edison. So
it's all Tommy's day. Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. I never knew that. That's a lovely little piece of information, mate. Well done. Yeah. Nice one.
And people will either be going, wow, or they'll be going, because they'll be
get on with it, boys. Get on with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Well, here's to Thomas. But it rubs up against a little story. National Television Awards the other week, and Lee Mack won an award, and he made an off-the-cuff remark, which nowadays you can say things. You could say things back in the 60s, 70s. You weren't, under the microscope. And Lee Mack made an off-the-cuff remark. It makes me laugh. It doesn't offend me. I don't think it offended a lot of people, but of course there are the offence police out there going, "Oh, I'm offended." Well, big deal. Piss off. Don't care. But I mean, Jill Scott, who took it in good part, she's a bigger woman than all the, people complaining out there. He's going to make a remark. It's like the Spike Milligan years ago that he made that remark about Prince Charles, the then Prince Charles, now King Charles, who sent good wishes on his award. And he said, "Crawling little bastard." Now, he described King Charles, as a crawling little bastard. It was funny. Nobody took offense. Now, you can't get a bigger target than the future heir to the crown, now the king. And if anybody was nobody took offense. Or if they did, nobody took any notice. And I think, okay, there's an implicit remarks in there about, is it sexual remarks? Is it in the light of what was happening to the Spanish FIFA Federation, who is now gone. But I mean, it's all those things. Is that actually it's a joke, and it's a funny joke, and it's a joke made by someone who makes those jokes. And it's like, for goodness sake, lighten up. If Jill Scott had been offended and had demonstrated offence, Lee Mack, being the sort of comedian and the sort of man he is, would have gone, hands up, made a mistake, wrong. But what he's done is he's gone, no, I haven't made a mistake. I made a joke.
Yeah.
And there's all this sort of like, oh, he's going to be cancelled now and all that lot. If Lee Mack gets cancelled, I'll be the first one to buy the most expensive ticket there is in the front row of his concert and screw anybody that's offended, because bollocks, we got to stop this.
And he may well have offended people there by saying you were going to screw them. But who knows? Yeah.
Well, who knows? But now Drew steps off his soapbox for today. Grumpy old man has his say.
Yeah.
For me, so I was going to say, but going back to talking about actors doing it on film, for me, the one that I think is the greatest performance, and it was Alec Guinness when in Kind Hearts and Coronets, where he played 8 characters of the same family, but he was aided by, I think it's seen as one of the greatest, multiple character roles. But he wore lots of makeup, and there were different characters, different sets, and it was very obvious. And each character you met along the line. And they were all killed off by the main protagonist. So they all died, whilst the protagonist gets to become,
of course,
he's robbed of his inheritance. I mean, it's a wonderful film. I mean, given the fact it was 1949 when it was made, it still stands up today. It's hysterical, and I think it's brilliant. Yeah, Alec Guinness was brilliant.
Well, I mean, and I suppose you could mention, not quite in the same breath, and I'm not not putting them on a par, certainly, but you look at the Nutty Professor films, Eddie Murphy, who played multiple people within the same family, and at the same time, albeit with technology doing it, but he had conversations between, so a similar sort of thing, and actually a good link between the two, between theatre and film. Obviously, well aware at the moment in the West End, we've got Mrs. Doubtfire, and I think I've not seen the show. I'd love to see it. I've not had the opportunity.
I would love to see it.
But when you think back to Robin Williams' performance in the film, I mean, absolutely unbelievable. Probably the best comic actor of all time, or certainly one that, like, it just stunning.
Oh, there will be letters, mate. But yeah, I mean,
that one I might stand behind. But
yeah, he was a genius.
Yeah.
He was a genius.
And he, as we say, was aided with technology, like didn't have to necessarily film bits at the same time. But I would very much imagine that there were times where, even if he wasn't playing both in the same day, he was certainly playing within the same week, looking at how filming schedules probably were and the amount of time and stuff. And so to jump between the two, and equally then there's this weird sort of inception of he was acting as someone else, and the audience had to sort of be in on it, but the people around him weren't. So it was great on a film front. God knows how they do it on stage. I
know.
I mean, unfortunately, couldn't tell you the name of the actor who's in the lead or any of the understudies for the role of Mrs. Doubtfire. So I hold my hands up and apologise for that. Should have looked him up, but must be one of the most phenomenal actors out there doing what he's doing at the moment. So,
and also, I mean, you talk about Robbie Williams being probably one of the greatest comic actors. Imagine having to follow that. I don't. Well, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I mean, I'd have a go myself, but by God, that must be terrifying. And I hear,
but equally, terrifying.
It's a poison chalice, isn't it? That's worse than being a manager of England. Let's face it. No one wants that job, but And
actually, I'm going to mention one more. So Back to the Future is currently in the West End, and there's also fairly recently, I think, end of June, July-ish, gone over on Broadway as well. To anyone that hasn't seen it, go. It's just phenomenal. I saw it twice because I thought it was so good. I almost immediately booked again. But the reason I bring it up is because, number one, you said about imagine trying to follow in their footsteps, and just think of the people that are in that, and then they've now had to bring that to stage. But equally, and it's very small, but Michael J. Fox plays his own sister, I think, is it the second? Is it Back to the Future 2?
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm pretty sure. And whether it's he also plays his own dad. And so, again, we're talking technology. I mean, they had all sorts of technology going on for them because they were trying to do all sorts of things where they just avoided bumping into each other and things. But he plays himself, his future self, his past self, his son. In that trilogy, he plays his own great uncle or great great uncle or something like that.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. So, but brilliant. Yeah. And but again, what an opportunity, and what a way to kind of almost show off your talents, to go, right, not only am I going to play a role, I'm going to play multiple roles at the same time, different ages, different genders, which again, in what I'm doing at the moment, I play multiple characters, including male and female, old and young. It's an opportunity to show off. Again, I use that term. It's not probably the right term, but equally so enjoyable. Like, just a really, really fun job, I guess.
Way back, screen actress during Hollywood's golden era, one of the most beautiful women, she's absolutely beautiful, Hedy Lamarr. Now, I'm going to say that, and some people go, I know what you're going to say, Drew. Because Hedy Lamarr I don't think she had any official qualification, but she was an inventor. And she had a laboratory in her home. And on many film sets, when she was filming for MGM and the like, she would have a table, a little laboratory, an inventor's table that she would sit at and work at. She was fascinating. And thank God she did, because we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing today without Hedy Lamarr. Because, she was born in 1914 and she passed away in the year 2000. And in 2014, so 14 years after her death, she was inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame because she invented something called frequency hopping technology. Now, I don't pretend to understand that.
It's got the word technology in, so it's not.
Exactly. But frequency hopping technology she invented this. It earned her the name the mother of Wi-Fi, because without that, we would not have Wi-Fi, we wouldn't have GPS, and we wouldn't have Bluetooth. So she invented this technology. It was used, I believe, for all sorts of communications, particularly during wartime. But her technology led on to so much stuff. And I say, without it, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So Hedy Lamarr, one of Hollywood's great beauties, great actors, also a great brain. Sam, why can't I see you, Sam? Where are you?
Well, see, the thing is, mate, I'm not here.
I hate to argue with you, but I can hear you, therefore you must be there. I think they're... Go on.
Technically I'm here, but...
Right.
But, we both know it's Thursday morning, right? Actually, when people are listening to this, it's going to be Sunday afternoon, evening. So...
Right.
I'm here now, but when they're watching it, I'm not here.
Right. So are you going to be here now, or are you not going to be here now and not be here on Sunday?
No, I'm here. Look, I'm here, but I'm not here because
right.
So
Explain for me and our lovely audience. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking in a bit of a riddle. Essentially, what it is, mate, is I'm a bit excited because on Sunday, when the episode goes out,
yes,
I will be doing something that will be revealed in future episodes, or we'll discuss at some point. And I can't talk about it now, but it's just something really exciting and something I'm looking forward to, and something that it's just going to be great. So I'm here, but I'm not here because I'm doing that. But I'm not doing that yet because it's now. But I will be then.
Not helped at all, mate. But
no.
Moving on.
Yeah. Well...
I was doing Panto in Luton many years ago, and we had a very, very cold winter. It was a lot of snowfall, and I got a telephone call. I was directing the show, playing Dame and directing the show, and my mum lives just outside Luton, so I was staying locally. And I got a telephone call from the stage manager going, "I've rung the producer, and I'm ringing you to let you know that the weight of the snow has caused serious leaks in the roof." Don't know what concrete was on the roof, but it was, and basically it was saying that we can have a look at this. However, there's considerable snow up there. It is still snowing, and we've got water running, shall we say, into lights and along electrical, conduits or whatever the technical term is. And she said the theatre management have deemed it unsafe to open a theatre. And I'm going, well, that seems, because at any time, this building could be plunged into darkness. That's the least of our worries. We've then got to get out several hundred people out the building safely, cast, workers, etc., crew. So he said, so I said, well, they said we can try and get as many communications out as possible, but there will be people turning up. So I said, okay, I'll come to the building. We're close. It was a theatre above a library in Luton. So I was meeting people at the public entrance and saying, hello, my name is Andrew. I'm the director of the show. This is our producer, represent the producer and the theatre manager. We're here to tell you we're really sorry, but blah, blah. And most people were like, thank you so much. We're saying we're sorry, we just couldn't, we tried to leave it as late as possible, but it's just too dangerous for cast and public. Most people went, oh, okay, thank you. We said, your tickets are still good for other performances. There are tickets available at some shows. Rebook whenever you can. We actually stuck a matinee on, an extra matinee to cover anybody that. And most people, well, we still had a few people interested and complaining, going, "Oh, I've come to see the show. I want to see the show." And I'm sort of standing there going, "It's not safe, sir, madam. Do you want to sit in a theatre that's suddenly going to be plunged into darkness, or you're going to be electrocuted, or your children?" I said, "What? I said, honestly, I had to walk away for a few minutes because it was like, really." And also now, we've seen a lot of when you look at the casting breakdowns come in and you apply for jobs or make submissions, you see the number of people in casts reduced because of the straitened times of the pandemic and Brexit and whatever. We are being asked, actors are being asked to act. And it's like, I like that. I love that idea. We are, and it's necessary, because you look at something and say, well, if we try and do this play with a cast of 20, it's not going to happen. But if we do this play with a cast of 6 and they double up, and that means using different accents and different, gender personalities or whatever way you want to put it, we can get the play on.
Yeah.
And we can take it out there. And it's not going to be, it's not going to be any less good because we will get good actors who are up for the challenge and relish the challenge. So I think that it's interesting that the two come up at the same time. We want actors to only play what they should be playing. Then theatre companies are going, no, we can't do that. We need actors who are going to play everything.
And just to almost not a caveat, but just to add to that, it's not through giving lack of opportunity. So what we're saying is not that, oh, well, you just play whatever because I choose it, but that the opportunity is being given to everyone. There's no sort of funneling down on the casting point. No one cares if how you identify or your sexual preference or anything like that at casting level. And casting, it's getting a lot better. We have seen some sort of issues with it over the years, but it's getting a lot better now, where it is certainly colorblind casting and gender blind casting. Unless something is a necessity and is justifiably a necessity, hopefully equal opportunities. And I've certainly seen quite a lot of it in the castings I've been to recently or productions I've been involved in, but those equal opportunities are going out. It just turns out this is the person that got that job because they were the best one for it. And we're looking beyond preferences or identifications or backgrounds or anything like that, which is where everything should be equal.
That's good. I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Amongst the many insults, ridiculous ideas and outbursts, we do sometimes say nice, positive things, mate. And that was certainly one. Well put.
Well, sadly, buddy, we're kind of in a world where there often isn't a lot of positivity. So to be able to look on the brighter side and to acknowledge the positive progression, it's important and, well, invaluable, really.
Exactly the philosophy we try and stick to on this podcast, Sam.
It is, mate. From our lowly start, well over, what is it now, 130 episodes ago, right up to now, well, we've always tried to bring truth, happiness, humour and recognition.
And we'll continue to do just that. Well, at least try to, in season 10.
Yeah, I mean, double figures, mate. Can you believe it?
I mean, it's been quite the journey, and I'm excited that we're still on it, matey.
Yeah, likewise, Drew. So thank you for putting up with me over the past season and years before that as well. And thank you to everyone who has listened, watched, commented, messaged, shared, liked, well, basically just been part of the Drewling Samantics family.
Yes, thank you. And we'll be back in the new year. Very much looking forward to bringing brand new content to all our current subscribers. And with any luck, a load of new ones too.
Here's to 2024 and season 10. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this special highlights episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have,
then make sure you go and watch all our previous episodes in full for even more fun and interesting content. Please consider subscribing to our channel too, and you'll get notified every time a new video is released.
Don't forget we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And we'd love your support on social media as well. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends, and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.